risotto. Come on, chef, say it. Say a risotto.
It's called risotto.
No, in order to make it a good risotto, you gotta say a risotto.
Risotto.
Hey, that was pretty good, okay?
Yeah, today obviously we're going to do some risotto. Risotto is actually just an arborio rice. The risotto is the style of cooking this rice.
I think that's amazing. The risottos I've had, especially yours, they're like a pasta almost. Is that pretty common for a good risotto?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because each individual grain should stay separate from each other. It shouldn't be mushy. It should just be like a fine cooked rice, but it's going to be real starchy. There's many ways to screw risotto up, let's put it that way.
I found all of them.
A lot of people have. That's why we're doing risotto today, to show people some of the easier techniques. It's a slow process. Hot stock, nice even temperature on your risotto.
So your number one qualification for making risotto is you have to have patience,
Yeah.
which is not something I take into cooking risotto.
Most every risotto you're going to make, you're going to start with an onion. So we're going to take our onion. You're going to cut half of this. I'm going to cut half.
This is fantastic. I've been dying to learn how to cut an onion right.
Many different ways to cut your onion. What I'm going to do is we're going to take a knife. We're going to take 3 slits through. If you watch me, I start with the knife up front. Just kind of let it slide through. And by the time the end of the knife, you're at the end of the onion. Just try to can I tell you one thing? Try to keep these fingers up on the onion. See, my fingers are all up top. So if you do happen to go through the onion, you're not going to take your fingers.
Another story of my kitchen adventures.
Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to turn it. We're going to cut down. And always keeping your fingers out of the way of your knife. Okay, one thing I want you to do, Trig, keep your knife tilted away from you. If you look how my knife is, always keep that blade going away from your fingers. That's the biggest thing. Let your knife ride on your finger here and cut down into the onion. So you're always, no way you can cut yourself. If the blade's going away from you, you can't cut yourself. If the blade's coming into you, you can cut yourself.
With the knife away from yourself, you won't cut yourself. With the knife towards you, you will cut yourself. Let's write that down.
Now we're going to finish cutting our onion. Just nice little dice. You're going to come in about 1/4 inch each time. And if you do it right, what you're doing is you're moving your fingers. Every time your thumb's in the back pushing, and you just keep bringing your fingers back just that little bit. That's beautiful. Mine looks a little more precise, but you did pretty well. Okay, now we're going in with the butter. You reaching for something?
The butter.
It's my butter.
My favorite part.
We're going to bring it into the pan. We're going to let that start to melt down just a little bit. Toss it around in there. Basically what we can do now is we can go in with our onions. So we'll take our onions, bring them over. Just kind of lay them in there real nice. Basically what we're doing with the onion, we just want a light saute where they just start to turn translucent. What I'm talking about is translucent. See how they're nice and white right now? They're going to get to a point to where you can almost kind of see through them.
And Chef, might I just comment on your gratuitous use of butter, which you're unabashed about its use, and I absolutely love that.
Most of your good cooks are.
Butter.
It's America's friend. You always want to work with a warm or hot stock, never a cold stock, because what that's going to do, it's going to shock your rice. Every time you've got nice warm rice, put something cold into it, it's going to shock it. It's going to cool it back down. It's going to screw the whole texture and the flavor of the rice. Always hot.
This is basically a checklist of everything I've ever done wrong cooking risotto.
I'll take the risotto from you, Trig. Thank you. And like I said, once again, we've got our onions. You don't want to burn your butter. That's the big thing. Don't burn the butter. You can also use some oil. I wouldn't use it olive oil because it's got a lower burning point. Just a nice vegetable oil if you're going to do oil. I like the butter because it gives a little better flavor.
Now, why oil over butter? Why would some people choose that?
Less chance of burning. Because your butter, when you take that whole butter like we did, it's still got its milk solids in it, milk fat. That's how you make your butter, just turning the milk. And it's got all that cream in there, and that's gonna end up burning because it'll separate. Like a clarified butter has all of that milk whey pulled out of it. So we're just gonna kind of toss this a couple times here. And this is where we're toasting it. We're gonna keep a real close eye on it right now. Keep tossing it around. It was pretty nice and hot in there, so this should toast up pretty quick for us. Okay, so we're working this risotto. The rice we're toasting, keeping it moving 90% of the time right now, because the last thing we want to do is let that rice sit on the bottom and burn. You see how you're getting your color? Your onions are starting to turn in. You're starting to smell that little bit of nuttiness. It's almost like a popcorn sense in a way. Now we're ready to go in with our first bit of liquid. How I start my risottos, I take a nice white wine. Actually, any kind of white wine is going to work for you. What you're going to do, go in. This is the first process. This will be the only time that you are going to go in with a cold liquid. Okay, if you get a good look at it, all that white wine that we just put in, most of it is gone. The rice has started to absorb that. We really didn't lose much in evaporation because it's at such a low roll. So now we're going to go in. We're going to take a little warm, always be careful. We're going to take 2 nice little ladles of hot stock. We're using a seafood stock this time. We're making a seafood risotto. Go in, come back, just kind of shake it around. And if you notice, we're using a non-stick pan. So the last thing you want to do with the risotto is chop at it. So basically now what we're going to do is, you still see we're at that nice low simmer, nice little bubbles, even bubbles all around the outside. You'll see some come up in the center here soon. We're just going to kind of let it go. When we come back to where you're not going to see much liquid, we add in more liquid. And it's just a process. It's going to take about 20 minutes probably for this whole process to come through.
Is the risotto done?
Well, welcome back, Drake. How are you today?
Fine. I guess time went quickly.
It does. Actually, it goes real slow with this one. But we're getting real close to the end of this. You can see how it's still nice and creamy. I figure one more time on this and we're good to go. Our risotto will be done.
One more time, what does that mean?
Adding one more set of liquid into it, and we should be cooked and ready to go. We'll taste it. See, you always want your al dente, like you cook your pasta. Still got a little firmness to the center of it. Doing the same thing with our risotto.
I had no idea how much work went into a risotto.
Well, it's not really work. It's just a little bit of time.
All right, let's do it. What's more time?
Okay, Trig, let's wake up.
Is it?
With his time, the risotto is done. We've cooked it long enough. It's a beautiful al dente right now. If you look at it,
I can't believe it.
Believe it. It's got a nice shine to it, nice creaminess to it. It's a beautiful looking risotto.
Beautiful.
Let's try it to make sure we get that nice al dente. Should just have that little bit of resistance when you bite through it. Perfect.
That's just like my Norwegian mama used to make out of Norway.
So it's Italian, not Norwegian. Italian.
All right, well, I have to insist to our audience that was absolutely, positively worth the wait. I'm happy we did it. I now know what I've been doing wrong on all my risottos at home. Hopefully this helps you guys out. The patience. Any recommendations on the patience part, Chef?
If you're doing risotto, try to time it with the rest of your food, because most of the time when you're cooking something that you'd be serving with risotto, it's going to take at least a good 20 minutes to a half an hour. Start your risotto soon. If you're cooking with a filet, then go to your filet, go to your vegetables. By the time it's done, everything should pull together perfect for you.
Perfect. Risotto.